BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K.
Welcome everybody to
Sean
episode
K.
122 of BSing with Sean K. On this show, I talk with people who live outside the box and are pursuing their creative and intellectual passions. And on this episode, I'm going to play you a conversation I had with my good friend Shari, who we go way back. We connected through music, but she's real into punk music, and we went to Punk Island and a couple other shows together. And she's been a drummer in punk bands, but now the main thing she's pursuing is dance, and she teaches Zumba classes. And we talk about a lot of interesting topics, like the universal language of dance and music and how that can connect people. And anyway, without further delay, here's the conversation. I hope you enjoy it. I've known you for a long time, like I think like 7 years. So yeah, it was 2013, I think, because you were part of this. When I was at Kane, there was like a student union, and you were with one of the other colleges, Jersey City, and I met you through that. And then I think we went to like the anarchist book fair because you like punk, and stuff like that. And and we saw DRI. There's another.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Punk. It was like the punk stuff, and you were also into like meditation, a lot of like similar things, reading, and like and we kind of connected over that. And I actually interviewed you like back then too, but it was like more like a political episode. And it wasn't like about because you do like a lot of like you're a drummer, like you've been in I guess you started in the punk scene, right? Like is that like what you were first into? And then
Yeah, for sure.
so like how did I guess we'll start with that. Like how did punk like become like your first like love, like, I guess?
That's a good question. I don't know. You know how like when you're growing up, you're kind of just drawn to certain things, and you're kind of just like not drawn to other things. I think punk was just something, the rawness of it, the realness of it. Just I felt like I connected to it really easily as a teenager and as a young adult. So I guess just like I don't know. I had friends that liked the same music, so that definitely influenced me. And then I love the experience of going to concerts, so that also tied into it. And then I love to make music, and that was something that all connected me to that scene.
Yeah, I think it was the rawness and like the realness for me, like the kind of drew me to it, because it seemed like it wasn't like manufactured, like a lot of. I mean, I do like some like popular music, like I definitely branched out like a lot, like it like I think there's good music like in all like different styles, but for me, like what drew me to punk was that it didn't seem as like manufactured as like music that was like on the radio, where it's just like it wasn't like a product being put out. It was like these people like expressing themselves and just putting their raw thing out there. And I also like that it wasn't about being rock stars or like being anything like that. It was more just like, hey, we're playing this music and we're connecting with other people. There's just like something very real, especially with like the 80s hardcore bands like Minor Threat and Bad Brains. And I know you like those bands too, like some of that. Yeah, but like ska, I think was like your main love, or was that?
I think I love both, honestly.
Right.
Honestly, it's pretty equal. Yeah, it was pretty equal for both of them. I grew up on that music. Like I said, I love the experience of going to a concert. I love the idea of making that kind of music. It just never worked out the way I thought it would. So I had to like find other things to do.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean it's hard to, yeah, because then you gotta get like, well, even if you have a band, like it's hard to do that as like your main thing. It's good to, but now you have like dancing, like more recently it's been, yeah, but I feel like we could kind of like go into that, like start at the beginning.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Yeah. So like being a drummer was like your first,
Mm-hmm.
like
that
in a band, right? Yeah.
Yeah, So my first band was when I was like in 8th grade. It was called Pants Without Pockets. And I was with two of my best friends. And we started in like a basement with my little drum kit and two guitars. So I started pretty young and I kept it up for like a whole decade. I think I was playing music, trying to play music, joining bands, leaving bands, trying to just find my space and a way to express myself for a while. And like I said, it never worked out to fruition. Not the way that I thought it would. I thought like I would be a rock star by the time I was like done with college, and it just never worked out that way. so, so yeah.
Yeah, and I guess like you also had like, so it was like an interest in literary stuff. Like, did that kind of come simultaneously with like the interest in music?
Not necessarily. I feel like I learned, not that I learned, but I got into reading, I got into philosophy much later, probably in like high school, the end of high school, and in college. That's where my love for books and for philosophy kind of developed. But again, music was still a part of my life in college. That was still something I pursued in college as well. I just had like a really great teacher at the end of my senior year of high school. I had a really great English teacher who introduced me to different books like the Bhagavad Gita, a lot of not esoteric texts, but more like transcendentalism and different philosophies and different ideas that just kind of sparked a curiosity in me that I followed in college.
Yeah. So like, what appealed to you about like the Bhagavad Gita and so? I mean, I appreciate the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm not Hindu, and I appreciate like different things from different religious texts, even though I don't really subscribe to like one religion. Mm-hmm. And there's also like issues I have with most religions too. But then there's like stuff I like in each of them too. But what drew you to like kind of like an hour? Was it like an allegorical kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah. And I would say like, so I grew up in a very Christian household, not strict, but not too strict. So just realizing how other people interpret existence, how they interpret purpose, just gave me, like I said, it just sparked something in my mind that made me want to learn more, that made me so interested. And some of it's so cryptic sometimes that it's just like, it pushed me to want to know more. It pushed me to keep reading. It pushed me to think about things in a different way. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. So it wasn't like I was trying to subscribe to any type of religion specifically. It was really just like being able to look at things differently from someone else's perspective, from this ancient text, and its perspective on life and dharma and different things that we experience.
Yeah, sometimes like you have to like that's kind of like I did that. Like I mean, I still do that. I like to read like every like that. That's why I was interested in like reading the different like religions, was kind of like find out like what appeals to me from that. But what Buddhism would appeal to me is kind of like a way to kind of just be present and not like being over anxious about situations and stuff like that. Yeah. So okay, so there was literary interest, and then there was music, and there was interest in drumming, and then the dance interest. It came like, what was that like when you were young too? Because that's mainly what you do now. You teach Zumba classes, and yeah.
So that kind of started. So I danced as a kid, and I had a studio, like a dance studio, that was like right across the street from where I lived. So it was very close to me. But it ended up closing right when I was about to transition into high school. So that kind of just stopped for me. And then I didn't dance for a long time. And then in college, there was like a talent show. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should dance. Like, I think I definitely had a band at a different talent show. But for some reason, I was like, let me try dancing for this one. And then I kind of just fell in love with it again. I don't think I loved it as much as a kid, but as an adult, it felt like a great way of expressing myself. I don't know how there's a better way to explain it, but it just felt like
so it was like it sounds like it came like later to everything.
Much later. Yeah, for sure. Which is weird because a lot of dancers that I've met start really young and continue until they're a professional. And so where I just started again as an adult, that's where most people are in like the peak of their career.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess and then you gravitate towards like Zumba. That's the style you do, and you teach them. You teach it now, or is it like a mix of other things you do too? Or
So I teach Zumba honestly because it's the easiest, not the easiest to teach, but it's the easiest to get certified. It's like a 1-day training, and then you're good to go after that. So I started teaching. I think I got certified in 2018. And then I didn't teach my first class until like months and months later, until I felt comfortable. But it's very different from most of the other dancing that I do, and in terms of like it being a fitness class. So you get people of all levels, and it's really just to like dance and sweat and have a good time. But other dance classes that I teach are more intentional. So if I'm teaching a hip hop class, it's not really about fitness. It's more about telling a story. So it's a little different, but it's always fun. I always enjoy teaching.
yeah, yeah. So I guess like the depending on like the dance of like it's like a different kind of
Completely.
yeah. And is there a similarity with that in drums because that's like a more rhythmic? Is there a way it ties into that like
Dance in general or just Zumba?
dance in general? Because I know both. Like you need to know like rhythm and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. So they have like the same core elements of counting and rhythm and timing, musicality, and even just like that. I don't know. It's like this ability to lose yourself when you're playing music, and I'm sure you felt it as a musician as well. You just kind of get lost in it. The same exact thing happens when you're dancing. You just get lost in the present. You just get lost in that moment. So there's a lot of similarities. I guess that's why I've always loved something artsy. I've always been creative in that way because they're very similar.
Yeah, and is it a different feeling when you're dancing like a choreographed piece as opposed to dancing just like oh you hear music and you start dancing kind of yeah.
Yes. So choreography is kind of like I said, it could be more intentional. It tends to be more intentional, and there's like a right way and a wrong way. But when you're just dancing, when you're freestyling, when there's music and there's a beat and you're just allowing your body to move, it's a completely different feeling. Like there's no thinking involved. You're literally just like allowing your body to flow with whatever music is playing. But with choreography, it's like, oh, I have to think about this step. If I do this the wrong way, then it looks bad, or you're judging it a lot more than you do for just like freestyle and free movement. So there's a huge difference with that.
But I guess there's a way you can kind of learn to flow with it, right? Where it feels like whether it's choreographed or not, you feel like you're just doing it naturally.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. The more classes that you take, the more you get out of your comfort zone with different teachers and different music and different styles. You get to a point where it's just like you're able to flow within the choreography. You're able to find your voice within it. So it's not as much thinking. It's really just feeling and emoting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know like when I was in a band, like we'd practice songs and then as you're getting it down, it's like you think about it more, but then you get to a point where it's just like a natural part of you.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah.
That's the best part. I miss the part of music all the time. I literally can vividly think of moments when I'd be in band practice and we would just get lost in the music. Like the song would, like you would think it was supposed to stop, but we would just keep going because we were so in the moment. So those are like my favorite memories of music.
Yeah, and I think you said it was like not that long ago. You were sending me stuff from a band. It was like just a few years ago because it wasn't that long ago. You were still doing a band. I think you were also doing the dance as you were doing. So I guess yeah, and like me, like I'm pursuing like multiple. Mm-hmm. Like I like doing like multiple creative outlets at once. Like sometimes it's yeah. I guess you're kind of the same way with that, right? Yeah.
I am, but you know what? Like it gets so stressful. Like I don't know how you do it, Sean. Like I'm over here trying to be everywhere, and it's like between work and creativity and relationships and like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do in the next few years. It's a lot. So I'm trying to narrow down what I do and how I spend my time. Not that I don't want to do everything, but practically it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I guess you have to like choose what it is you're because I think like more like this podcast and like that is like what I'm focusing on, like the broadcasting stuff, and like the voice acting, like I audition, and then I do writing on the side and like music on the side, and that's more like the
you do a
leisure
little bit
thing.
of everything too.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I admire your work ethic. Like you've been so consistent with this. Like
Yeah, it's episode 122. So
what?
yeah. Yeah, I think you were on episode 9. That was like one of my first, when I was still like big. Yeah, that was like 2014. So
Oh my
yeah.
God. That is wild. Happy New Year. I totally forgot that this is already like 2021.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year to you too. Well, I think I said Happy New Year to you. Like I sent you like a Happy New Year.
Yes. I just haven't seen you, like physically seen you in such a long time.
Oh yeah. We mainly stay in touch through text, I guess, these days. Like sometimes you forget you haven't like talked to someone in like face to face in a while.
Very long time, so it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, and what else is? Oh yeah. So like and like Punk Island was like the other thing you told me about that you showed. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I think we went to that twice, or we went to that once, I think. Yeah.
Those were so fun. I wonder what happened this year. I mean, 2020. I doubt that it even went on because of everything that happened.
Yeah. Wait, was that? Yeah, it was your friend Jesus, right? That came. I remember that was the time I went with you, and then there was that fight because like somebody wanted to mosh, and then the other people didn't want to mosh, and then and I think the one girl like picked up the guy and she was gonna like throw him off the bridge. It was.
Oh my God! Yeah, that was so much fun. Wow, yeah, time seriously flies. That's crazy.
Yeah, because I think that was like 5 years ago or something like that. Yeah,
that was a long time ago. I don't know if I've even been to anything. Well, I think the last concert I went to was like a reggae band, and that was like 2 years ago. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Was it one like you and you listen to, or was it like a local?
Yeah. No. It was Toots and the Maytals.
Oh, okay.
Like Jamaican reggae band. Yeah, they're really, really great.
Nice.
So I went to Brooklyn and I was able to see them, but I haven't been to Punk Island. I haven't been to any real like shows in such a long time.
Yeah, I think it was like, I think 2019. I don't think I went into these shows. Well, 2020 there wasn't many shows, so yeah. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, but I knew at one point philosophy was what your major, right? And you said that you read like I think you said your favorite was Nietzsche, and I also like Nietzsche a lot too. Like he's I feel like he's been kind of like people twist his words sometimes and use them
out of
like
context.
Well, I think his main message is kind of like being your best self and like thinking for yourself and like kind of like that's what to me was what like the Ubermensch thing is like being like your artist self, like your creator self. It's that's more what he's talking to, I think, like kind of.
For sure. I honestly haven't read philosophy in such a long time because life. But yeah, that was my favorite philosopher when I was studying philosophy, for sure. I think he's a very strong writer, and his philosophy, from what I remember, sometimes it comes off as aggressive, but like you said, it's like purposeful. It's really like finding the best part of yourself and working towards that, regardless of whatever else is happening and going on. So yeah, definitely, for sure. He was definitely my favorite in school, but I haven't picked up a philosophy book in a very long time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you used to write at all, or was it more like you read or?
Not really. I'm not really a writer in that way. I would write papers, of course, but nothing like after that or outside of that, really. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, because I knew like you wanted to like teach philosophy, right? That was your goal. Yeah,
I did.
And
then looking at like the cost of grad school really turned me off from trying to pursue that, unfortunately. I didn't want to take out more loans than I had already taken out, so I kind of put that dream on the back burner until
Yeah,
I'm ready. You know, yeah.
so it was Jersey City. You went to college too, right? Jersey City, yeah.
Yeah, New Jersey City University, um, which is a really small college. They didn't really, I mean, they have a big STEM program, but the philosophy department was extremely small. So they didn't give me much guidance as far as grad school, but I did learn a lot. I had a great experience there overall, for sure.
Yeah, and so that's where you do like well, that's where because I went to one of your Zumba class, to try
Mm-hmm.
something new. I think that was a few years ago. It's interesting because like we you have like a wide very interest, and I guess like I'm open to like a wide variety of things too. But like so
Mm-hmm.
we went to the anarchist book fair,
Yes.
and then the punk show, and then I went to your Zumba class. So like
Yeah.
that's like an interesting range of things. Like
Yeah, but like I said, it's like, sorry, I have a
that's
cough
fun.
drop. But I've always been creative in those different ways. And like I grew up on punk music. So that seemed like the perfect environment for me at the time. And I knew you liked the music. So it was a way for us to connect, you know? And now it's just like trying to figure out the dance world. It's very different, but I always appreciate your support. And it's been a wild journey in between for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I guess I've like danced sometimes, but like more just kind of like I don't know, like or like goofy or yeah, or I guess a couple of times when I was a bit drunk. Well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to learn it wouldn't hurt to learn a few moves or something like that.
I think
it's always yeah,
it's a
yeah,
great way. I know for most people it seems like kind of arbitrary, especially with everything else going on in the world. It doesn't really seem like a thing to do, but TikTok is huge. A lot of kids like dancing, and I think it's just healthy overall to move your body and to move around, and the way that humans connect to music is vast. So I think it's super important in general, for health reasons, for spiritual reasons, just for releasing emotions, releasing tension. It's great for a lot of things. So even if you're just drunk at a party and you're moving, it's still like a great way to connect with people, to express yourself, to get out of your comfort zone. It's great for everything. It's definitely changed my life in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, when I was at the city when I was going to grad school, I stayed at a place. So like there was like students from like Germany and like all over the world and stuff. And then when I like we all went out in like this place, and I was kind of like dancing. And then this one guy, he came up to me, he's like, "No, you do it like this. You do it like." He kind of showed me like a few things, and then I did it. That yeah, I wasn't exactly drunk then, but I did have like a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Damn, yeah, yeah."
But see, it sparks relationships. Like I said, humans connect to music, and then you connect to other humans that are dancing. It always creates these like really fun, beautiful moments, organic moments that you couldn't have planned.
Yeah,
You know,
it could be kind of like a universal language, like too.
it
Yeah,
is. It
yeah,
is
yeah.
perfect
Sometimes
description.
you don't even have to speak the same language because it could be like instrumental music or like something like.
That's the perfect description. And it's the same thing with playing music. You can play music with people from all sorts of backgrounds, and you still find that synchronicity, like with them, this way to connect with them. Um, that's indescribable,
Yeah,
regardless of where you come from or what you speak or.
yeah. And punk actually has like I mean it actually has like an international kind of touch to it too because like Latin America has all kinds of punk and when I was in a grindcore band there were even bands like in the Middle East we
Mm-hmm.
were talking to. It's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like whoever had that kind of was into that kind of like counterculture, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like rebelling against whatever the mainstream of their culture was, and it kind of united them, but because they were kind of going against the grain in
Mm-hmm.
whatever part they were in. Yeah,
And I think that's like the beautiful part of punk. It like reunites you in whatever your struggle is. You can find someone to connect to in that same rawness that we were talking about before. Because we all have struggles, whether they're small, big, personal, global. Like we all have something that we're going through. We all have something that we've been through that hurts us, that puts us in like different emotional states, so that the emotion, I don't know, I still love listening to punk music from time to time, because it connects, I connect to it on a deeper level, on a different level. Like a lot of pop music doesn't do that for me. It's not like gonna make me think about my life. It's not gonna make me think about society. It's just gonna be like, oh, this is fun, I'll listen to it while I'm driving in my car. But if I'm looking for something to reflect about, then I'll definitely throw on a different record, you know, like I'll definitely look into music that I used to love and that I grew up with that I connect to differently.
Yeah, actually, well, and I think a while back you told me you're a fan of KRS-One, like some hip hop I think does that same thing that punk does. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's a great point. There's a lot of rappers that are very conscious of what they say, conscious of how they say it, and they do it with style and grace. And then there's a lot of rappers where it's like they're just talking. They're not even talking in words. They're just kind of like
yeah. Well, what I don't like with I think it's getting worse with like the younger generation. Like there's all these like Xanax and like pill popping rappers. Like that's really like harmful stuff, and it's pretty much just like nihilistic. Like
it is.
Yeah.
Self-destructive. Yeah, very indulgent behavior. Honestly, so like I'm working on a piece now for a showcase, and the theme is love, and they want us to tell a story. And it's like I'm looking for artists, like current songs, like 2020 maybe, and it's like none of these songs even have a story. They're just like blurting out random things. So looking for an artist who tells a story is like actually hard to find sometimes if it's not in a certain genre. You know?
Yeah, wasn't there a Little John? I don't think he's too big anymore. Like, wasn't there all of his songs were like what or something like that? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
that was the one that came to mind when you said that. Like, they're saying like the same thing, and
it's hard. I mean, we use music for different things, so sometimes you're in a mood to just be like, what? Yeah, you know. But then other times you want something that you can really sit with and think about, and it's not just nonsense or about drugs or about crazy behavior. You know, sometimes you want something that you can sit with and think about. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I like both. There's extremes to them both, but I like the middle ground mainly.
Yeah. So what punk bands do you like going back to?
So my favorite band that I go back to is Crimpshrine.
I've heard of Crimpshrine. Yeah, it's kind of like ska-ish, I guess. Like, yeah, they're very like upbeat, I guess. Is what.
Yeah, upbeat. Definitely not. They're not. They don't have any like trumpets or saxophones, so they're not on the ska spectrum. But Jeff Ott is my favorite lyric writer. I think he's just a great storyteller, very reflective, very introspective, very intelligent. Between his band Crimpshrine and 15, just very aware bands. So that's like my favorite go-to.
But good social commentary kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of social commentary.
And you like Fugazi, right?
I do. I like Operation Ivy. This is like hard because I don't always listen to that music, but there's definitely some bands that I've connected to for very deeply. Rancid, another favorite band of mine. But they're more on the pop punk spectrum. But
so do you think you want to get back into a band and do like punk again? And it's somewhere.
You know, it's like secretly. So the last band I was in, which actually wasn't too long ago, maybe from 2019 to 2020, it was like it was called Chill Brown. It was an R&B band, like a soul band. We had a poet and a very like incredible singer, but it wasn't the music that I wanted to make. It was just so calm and so chill, like as in the name. So I kind of do. I kind of want to be able to find musicians to like make a punk record with, but the amount of effort it'll be to find musicians and time and studio space, money for studio space.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, and like people who commit to everything. Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like easy to start a band, but it's very challenging to maintain it and to keep up with it.
And then certain personalities don't mix and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess it's like a marriage kind of in a way. Like, yeah.
I think so. That's a good way to describe it. it's a serious relationship. So yeah,
Yeah.
it can be very difficult to keep up with.
Yeah, I've been kind of going the one man band. I've been trying like the one man band thing with my
Yeah.
project, kind of. Yeah, like drum machine. But then I have other musicians collaborate at certain times. Like I had my one friend play guitar. I have another friend who might like do guitar for another song, and then like I do like synth. Lately, it's been like synth because it's hard to play bass here because like, you know, they're studying and stuff here. I mean, I live with like some grad students and stuff like that. So, but yeah,
How
I
is
mean,
how do you like the one man band situation?
I mean, I like the creating, like putting it out, being able to like the freedom in that kind of just, but yeah, but it's also a different experience, like jamming out. Like I kind of, for a while, I was jamming out with my friend Glenn, like some of the songs I was writing, but then he was busy with like other projects. It's like a different feel, like if you're like working off other people or you're doing it by yourself. But like both can be good in like different ways, I think. Kind of.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely. So I was trying to learn guitar for a while. I was going to lessons, and I actually wrote out a bunch of songs that I wanted to do with just a guitar and just myself, but I was not consistent enough with it. So I admire your work ethic to stick to being a musician and doing it yourself, because it's a lot of work by yourself, especially if you're using different instruments. I was just trying to use a guitar and I was just not even able to keep up with it.
Yeah, well, like LMMS Studios is what I use, and then I have this thing. If only the people on the video can see, it's the synth, yeah, synthesizer, and I play like different stuff in the LMMS, and then there's like different plugins. But first, I make a beat, and then I put like the synth over
it.
And, yeah, and then in Reaper, I do the vocals. But I've been influenced by like a lot of synthwave recently. Like one of my favorite artists of that style is Time Cop 1983, and he does like retrowave kind of stuff. I think I sent you like a bunch of link of like synthwave stuff.
I have to check it out.
Yeah. But like kind of like 80s ish kind of stuff, and like Light Asylum is another good band with checking out. They were like 2010. They were before even that whole like new retro wave thing started coming out. But I think Stranger Things kind of popularized that. It's a Netflix show.
I think I got through one episode. I haven't watched it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a really good show. I do remember like the first season being like a little slow at first, but like I think season 2 and 3 I like the best. But it has a really cool soundtrack though, like kind of John Carpenter ish. But
okay, cool. I'll check it out. I've heard good things about it. I just haven't watched it myself.
Yeah,
for sure.
So what is your goal with like the dancing classes you're doing and everything? Do you want to expand that, like just expand on that, or
my ultimate goal in the dance world, I want to work with artists. I want to be a choreographer, which is a very different lane from the one that I'm in right now. But it's especially weird because of the whole pandemic that's happened, because the industry is kind of scattered.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just focusing on teaching and kind of building a brand, or building myself as a professional in the industry. But my ultimate goal is to work with artists and be a choreographer.
But you're still so you're doing it in person, right? Or is it over Zoom? Like
most of my classes are on Zoom. I did a workshop maybe a month ago, back in December, like early December. I did a workshop in person. We had masks, the whole 9 yards. We took temperatures, and we had a limited amount of space, so we only let 10 people in the room. But most of my classes are online until everything is until the numbers go back down, essentially.
Yeah, because I have one friend that said he took like a bachata class in the city, like recently, but they wore masks and everything.
Yeah. It is so hard to dance with a mask, Sean. It is so rough. Let me tell you, it's hard to walk in a mask and get comfortable being in a mask. And you're exerting so much energy when you're dancing. It's just like so much harder to breathe. It's very uncomfortable. You get used to it at a point, but it's just like the worst.
Yeah, it's kind of like just like putting this thing on. Yeah. Yeah,
the worst.
but
Oh my
yeah, and
God.
I've been going to the gym with a mask, and it's kind of a pain sometimes, like on the elliptical, like this. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
horrible.
but the thing I hate is that sometimes like I drink a water and it goes down the wrong uh pipe or something, and
Yeah,
then I have kind of like a little bit of a cough. And then because it's COVID, everybody thinks, oh, it's a COVID
everyone's
cough.
thinking it.
So yeah, so like, so the worst thing is if I'm at the gym because I bring like a water with me and I drink it, and then it's like, I kind of look around. I was like, no, that wasn't a COVID cough. I'm fine. It was just.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Um, I'm glad everything reopened, but I'm also just like, it's really hard to work out in a mask and dance in a
Yeah.
mask and function in a mask. So
Yeah. I guess New Jersey is pretty well like open in a lot of ways, like compared to, because like my sister is in California. She's in Oakland. Yeah, she's in Oakland now, and she says like it's still like very locked down. Like they don't like nothing. Yeah. I think New York is even a little more like the city. I think is a little more locked down than New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. And
I go to the city frequently, not to like travel around, just to like do dance things from time to time. A lot of stores are still closed. It's gotten better, but for the past few months, it's been like a different New York, like a totally different world, a much quieter New York, way less people on the streets. But the holiday season, it really picked up. I noticed there were still a lot of tourists, so that was kind of weird. Um, but it's definitely still different.
so there's still like in-person events in
Mm-hmm.
the city because I had that improv group that I was going to. They mostly meet through Zoom, and then I'm a member of this meditation group, and it's all through
Okay.
like Zoom. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's like a mixed bag with like
There's a lot of teachers that I take in New York. Some of them are having class, but again, it's like limited size, only 10 to 12 people in the room. And you have to wear a mask, and it's only once a week. So where they would normally be teaching multiple times, it's way less, and you have to wear a mask. But some people are just doing Zoom classes. So it depends on the teacher and their comfortability with what's going on. But it's a mixed bag, like you said.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Have you been to the city? Are you going into the city at all for
I
anything?
haven't in a while since like I think I went once during like since the pandemic. Like I haven't had a real reason, but I was
Mm.
like I was thinking about like because I do have like some friends there and stuff and like people I wanted to meet up with, but and my job always says like have you traveled out of state in the last 14 days, but I don't know if New York counts for that or not.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Good question. I think I answered that I haven't, but because it's right there. It's like 20, 30 minutes from where. Yeah, I don't count it as a.
Yeah. Yeah, what would be like your advice to other aspiring artists or people like that that want to pursue a creative path, dance or music or anything?
I guess it depends on where you're at in your life. If you have, my advice would be if you have money and resources to spend a lot of time training and networking, um, and use your time wisely. And the older you are, of course, you have more responsibilities and different things going on in your personal life. Just be consistent. Be as consistent as you can with the different responsibilities that you have. For me, I'm not a full time artist. I still have a job, I still have work that I go to. It's not a full time job, it's a part time job, but that keeps me stable and allows me enough wiggle room to work on my creative things. So, balance and consistency would be my advice.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Balance and consistency, and I guess like mapping out like certain goals too. Yeah.
100%. I write my goals out all the time, and they don't always happen the way that I think they'll happen. They happen on their own time with people that will come in and out of your life. But just having a vision and having an idea of what you want to do helps a ton, and it keeps you focused. It allows you to be consistent on one single thing at a time. If I could have 100 hands and do 100 things at once, I would definitely be doing that. But it's a lot, and it would drive me crazy. So stay focused, stay writing out your goals, what you want to accomplish, and keep with it.
Yeah, I've been thinking to make this a part of a network.
What do you mean? Like
a BSing network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it could be a network of podcasts, and then who knows where that could expand. Maybe there could be some web series.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like video stuff. Or I'm looking for jobs like in the entertainment industry. But I think my ultimate goal, like I mentioned, the BSing network, I want to be working for myself, because like that's really like I mean, I know that'd be like, it's like a long road to that though. So that's something I'll have to kind of build up on the side. But BSing network, like my own media network, is something I'm thinking about. And what about you? Have you like, because I know you teach Zumba classes, so are you looking to work for yourself? Or
so when I started out, when I first got certified for Zumba, like my goal was to teach classes and kind of be like an independent contractor and maybe start like a dance company or entity. And I've realized just time and again, like how much it requires. And I was not mentally prepared for everything that it requires. It's so much easier to just be a dance instructor and show up to a studio that's already established. They have students, people just have to sign up for your class. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're working just by yourself as yourself, it's like you have to find your customers. You have to worry about marketing. You have to worry about your expenses. You have to worry about every little thing, your website, your emails, going to events to let people know you exist. It's just so much more work. It's like a full-time job, but with no benefits at all.
Yeah, and all the stuff you don't even think about, like if you're just working. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
People make it look so easy, but I promise it is not easy whatsoever.
Yeah. I guess once you're successful with it, then it's like, but it's building it up is like the hard.
Yeah, those foundational steps. And like, I guess I'm just very super impatient. So I underestimated the amount of time it would take. So it's been about 2 years of me working consistently. And it's like, I'm still trying to figure it out day by day. I'm still trying to figure out, my next steps and how to build and how to get people engaged. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I guess that's like why I'm thinking like build it up on the side as I do like work and try to like work more in the
industry
too.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. And like I said, if it weren't for my job, I'd be struggling right now, especially with how the pandemic kind of changed everything from going to in-person classes to now doing everything on Zoom. If it were just me by myself, it would be a lot more adjusting. But my part-time job allows me some stability. So I have wiggle room in terms of like, oh, I can choose to teach classes this amount of time per week. I can choose to do this. I can choose to have a workshop here and there. As opposed to having to really like hustle to build a business full time if I didn't have something to fall back on. Yeah,
so you might just, so I guess you're looking more to teach in a studio now, right? Does that be like, if a studio hire you and you're like, yeah, okay, so you like work, you like, well, so you like the idea of working for yourself, but you kind of also like the, as a dance, it's like if you taught at a dance school, you just have to show up and teach. But you said you're still kind of conflicted. You don't know if you totally like that either.
Exactly. I like bits and pieces of both. Working for yourself is incredible. You get to make your own hours, your own schedule. You get to do things when you want to. But if you're building a business, it just, like I said, it requires so much of everything. So it's very, very overwhelming.
Yeah. But I guess at least if you were teaching at a dance studio though as your job and you were building up your business, you'd still kind of be in the realm.
True.
Like it's good to always be in the realm of like what you want to be doing.
Yes. So. Still relevant to the industry that you're in. Yeah. But a lot of studios are not doing in-person classes yet. So it would still be the same thing of me teaching from home. So
yeah, it's not as exciting. Like, how does it work? Is it kind of like watching someone on YouTube when they like say, let's do the workout, and they stream? So it's kind of like one of those streams where you see the person like working out or doing the.
Yeah. It's really like, oh, it's not the same. And then when I'm teaching, I usually use Zoom, so I can only see my students in like that little box on the side. So it's like
Okay.
barely even see if they're getting it, if they're picking it up. I have to like run over to the screen and really look at them and say, how's it going? You know, give me a thumbs up if you can see, if the music is okay. It's a whole different world. It's very it's very
Yeah.
challenging, but it's still rewarding. Thankfully, I still love dancing. I still love teaching and being able to work with people, but the interaction is totally different.
Yeah.
So.
And I was just thinking that I guess like being like because like with the media stuff like it's good like I'm being focused but also like flexible, like I could do if like that's why like you know audition for like voice acting and like roles, and then also like applying to like the production side, like whatever. I just want to like be in that realm. Like if I feel like if I were too rigid and just like I want to do this, then that would close off other opportunities. So it's kind of a balance. Like, yeah.
It's true. But it's great that you can like put on so many hats in that industry. Like that's so
Like I
helpful. So
said.
you can apply to all, yeah, you can apply to all different types of jobs to be on set. That's awesome. That comes in handy so, so much. And I think that's kind of why I want to really focus on choreography. Like, yeah, I can dance and I can do the role as a dancer, but I also want to wear a different hat. Like being a choreographer is a different skill set.
Yeah.
It's
And maybe
similar.
you can like direct the music, like what about like musicals, like directing a musical or something like
Okay, well, I hate musicals, so
that? Okay.
that's probably
What is it that they break into song like randomly?
yes.
That's always annoys me too, especially
Oh.
with West Side Story. Like it's this like West Side Story is like a good story, and it's
Yes.
like it deals with like a lot of important issues. Like it's you know it's like racism and like you know all this, and it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet, like an updated Romeo and Juliet. But then it's just stupid at times because they're just like you know like hey I'm a jet. You know, I'm gonna intimidate you like by snapping my fingers like this, like hey, boy. It's just like randomly break into.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
it. I've always hated it. I think it requires a lot of talent, and I respect the artists who do it. But as a viewer, I just do not enjoy it. So I will probably not be directing any musicals coming up.
Yeah, especially if it's like a really serious story, it kind of like takes you out of the
Throws you off
moment.
completely. Yeah. Exactly. So maybe like a music video I can direct. That would be something I'm interested in.
Yeah, or with like the dancers, you see there's different like things you can.
Yeah, that's the fun part. A lot of dancers transition to choreographers and then transition to creative directors or producers. So that is something that, you know, I'm keeping my eye out open for, but we'll see. The industry is very weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good to, and things are like, especially with the environment now, like you don't, like things are kind of uncertain, so it's good to like be open to different
100%,
opportunities.
100%. Now I just assisted, her name is Angel Kaba. She's like a Afro dance teacher. She's doing virtual events. So she is like changing the game, just trying to do things online. So we did a virtual dance contest where people submit themselves. We put their videos on YouTube, and then we kind of measure their engagement. So depending on the views that they get, comments, likes, shares, then that's like the most popular award that we give out to, like the People's Choice, just because of the engagement that they got. So instead of a live action dance contest where you have people coming in, it's like everything is virtual. So the industry, like you said, it's shifting in ways that I could have thought of a year or two ago. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, because you just mentioned that she teaches like Afro dance. So is that like another? I'm assuming there's like a lot of subgenres of that. Like, is that something you teach too, or like your knowledge about too?
Okay, I'm beginning. I just started maybe a year ago taking classes consistently in that style in Afro dance. But there's like mini genres. There's like Afro beats. There's like West African. So there's hundreds of like subcategories to Afro dance. But it's a very fun style. It's very different, very It's not hard. It's just very different from traditional Western movement. So I enjoy it. I love it. I've been learning a lot assisting her. And she's just very innovative with what she does. So
yeah, that must be interesting to dive into, and like how, because like dance, it seems like it's kind of an intuitive thing, but it's also like it's developed differently in different cultures, and that's kind of interesting to look at. Like,
it gets very technical. There's words and terms and vocabulary for each style, and every teacher is very different from the next teacher. Even if they teach the same style, if they're both hip hop teachers, they can teach very differently. So it gets very technical. Some people are more intuitive. Some people are more just like movement based, but some people are very like, you need to know this, this, this. You need to have a strong foundation. You need to have done ballet. You need this. So it varies. It varies.
So they consider ballet like the essential.
Ooh, yes, Sean. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, ballet teaches you a lot of like core strength, a lot of like proper lines and proper like posture. I struggled through it all. I still tried to learn as an adult. But yeah, it definitely helps with everything. A lot of
it's kind of like it's like you have like how you have to learn blues for like guitar bass, like it's the foundation. Yeah.
Yes, it gives you that strong foundation for you to like be able to jump into other types of music. Yeah, it's the same thing. Same thing with dance.
Yeah, well, it's good to catch up, and yeah, thank you for coming on, and thank you everybody, and follow my stuff on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever else you get your podcasts. And I'm also on YouTube. This video will be on YouTube.
Okay.
And what about you? Where can people follow you and your work and everything?
You can follow me at SHARI_LP. So at Shari_LP on Instagram. I think that's mostly the social media I use. I have a YouTube page, but I don't use it consistently. So Instagram is the way to go.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, good to catch up and all that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sean.